the entire nation hunting you down.
The grand prize, $1 billion.
Win this game. Change your family's life forever.
Hunt him down!
People will sell you out in a heartbeat.
What is happening?
Welcome to the Running Man.
I'm back. I'm really back.
Why am I here? I'm not dead, right?
Disruption on this campus will not be tolerated.
If I look crazy, it's because that's how I feel. I don't know how to live in two worlds.
There are others. But they're not like us. We need to get out of here. Now. Open your eyes.
Paramount Plus has a mountain of movies. Wow. New movies. Timeless movies. Guys who are running out of time movies. So get in on the latest blockbusters.
Trust me.
And we live the moments that get you every time.
And that's all I have to say about that.
A mountain of movies, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars! What a difference she has made!
The question is, can you handle it?
Can you handle it?
The crowd here feels electric. Stream every match of the UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount Plus.
I lost my dad and my aunt.
What aren't you telling me?
I'll never know what you've gone through, but I'm sure your dad will want you to be happy.
I will not lose the company that my husband started. I want success. Get it for me.
This business will bleed you dry.
Dad, I'm playing on the house's money now.
No, you're playing with the devil's money.
What's the plan here?
Gonna blow!
Yeah, well, I'm just getting started.
Landman. All episodes now streaming only on Paramount Plus.
Welcome in to Scoreline, 48 nations here on the Golazo Network, taking you through our previews of the World Cup semifinals on Tuesday and Wednesday, getting you caught up with all the latest in the World Cup and news from around the world. Alongside Michael Lahoud and Benny Feilhaber, I'm Chris Whittingham, and Michael Lahoud is outshining all of us with that fantastic shirt that you've got going on today. That is a beauty.
Hey, look,
Senegalese?
No. There's a bunch of Ethiopians will be really upset.
I do apologize.
It's inverse colors.
Yes.
The Ethiopian population is very angry at you, Chris Whittingham.
Yeah, fair enough.
No, but this is actually
population as well.
Yeah.
One of the most populated.
This comes from the motherland. It is African tailor-made.
That's beautiful. An absolutely beautiful shirt. That I feel absolutely miserable. Benny, you and I are battling for second place on this program today. All right, let's start with the latest news from around the sport, and we begin with Gianni Infantino, who confirmed that FIFA will discuss expanding the Men's World Cup to 64 teams after the 2026 tournament. This is what he had to say. This is certainly an issue that will be looked at and discussed by the relevant committees. When you organize a World Cup, it's important that you organize it for the whole world. It's not just Europe and South America, but the entire world. Every nation should be able to dream of taking part in the World Cup. We can see that the quality of the teams is extremely high, and it's getting higher and higher everywhere in the world. If you don't give smaller countries the chance to participate in the World Cup, they also lose the incentive to keep improving. This, of course, was the first one with 48 teams. There have been some high-level soccer executives that have suggested moving to 64. Moving then to the women's international side, the U.S. women's national team has announced they will host the #1 team in the world and reigning World Cup champion Spain in a pair of friendlies in October. The world's top two teams will play at Audi Field in Washington, D.C. on October the 10th before meeting again on October the 13th at Subaru Park in Chester, Pennsylvania in two pivotal tune-up games for the 2027 World Cup in Brazil. They've already played the host nation twice in the summer, continuing that high level of opposition in the friendlies. Moving then to the twice defending European champions, PSG have agreed to a deal with Lucas Digne to bring the defender back to Paris after paying his $13.3 million release clause from Aston Villa. Digne, Paris-born and raised, had already played for the club he supported as a boy between 2013 and 2016 before moving to Barcelona, Everton, and then Villa. He now returns home. He will serve as the backup to Nuno Mensch in that back four for Paris Saint-Germain. Heading up north to England then to get started with Manchester United. The Red Devils have begun a complete rebuild of their midfield after officially adding Andre Santos from Chelsea for just over $61 million. Multiple reports this morning say they have triggered a release clause for Aston Villa midfielder Yuri Tielemans. The Belgian has been at Villa since 2023 when he joined on a free transfer from Leicester and has made 134 appearances for the club. And Lahoud is our resident Manchester United fan. This has to be an exciting development. You lose Casemiro. There's been so much talk for years now about this midfield needing improving. They went for Ederson. They couldn't get him. They didn't come to an agreement with Atalanta. So Andre Santos and Tielemans, pretty solid upgrades for the Red Devils.
Yeah, it's much needed for Manchester United. And the fact that they're doing business early, that's a boost for United fans everywhere. But this is sensational. Yuri Tielemans is one of the most underrated players in the entire English Premier League. I'd argue he's one of the most underrated in world football. We saw his quality. We saw the lack of quality that Belgium had in the middle of the park without him in there. But just to see a player who's going to give control to that Manchester United midfield, this is probably the first time I've seen a Manchester United midfielder come in and potentially have the same control or some level of control since Michael Carrick was there in 2018 when he played for the club. So the profile of a midfielder the club hasn't had in almost a decade, Benny. It's a big get, and to get him at $35 million, potentially $40 million when you do the add-ons, that's easy money.
Yeah, well, in terms of value, I think it makes a lot of sense, but I'm still really curious of what this team's going to look like. We saw a much improved Manchester United with Michael Carrick as the coach, and Casemiro even looked like a better player. We saw, maybe a year or 2 years ago where Casemiro almost was at the end of his career, it seemed like, and then he kind of revitalized himself. So I think as much as, yes, they're bringing some new players in, I'm really curious what it looks like in terms of a product on the field, because it started to get better for Man United at the back end of last year. Now you're starting anew. So I would, you're a Man United fan, so you're allowed to let your hope, rise to the sky. But remember, it's the hope that kills. So be careful as well. Temper expectations, and let's see how this team kind of starts figuring itself out in the beginning of next year.
And from a Tielemans point of view, you mentioned the release clause. He's also 29 years old, not the age profile that they bought in the past, but not necessarily the wrong idea either. They need some solid veteran experience and some more quality in that midfield. So, Benny, in terms of what they needed to do, they've done well and accomplished their goals in the transfer window.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that they needed to do some things, right? With losing Casemiro, a guy he's a starter, and so you need some guys that fit the pieces that they need. I think Tielemans does that, but it's a different club than Aston Villa. Aston Villa is always less expectations, and they've been able to amplify those expectations over the last year. You go to Man United, you got to win the league now. You gotta win the Champions League, or you got to progress into really deep stages. It's a completely different scenario, so it'll be interesting to see how he does.
And Yuri Tielemans is potentially on his way to Manchester United. Up next, we'll start our build-up to the World Cup semifinals between Spain and France. Our Spanish football expert, Phil Kitchemalides, is on the way to preview the game.
At the start of every year, I find myself wondering again, constantly questioning life's mysteries. Could I make it in the UFC octagon?
When Jeff Probst asks survivors, ready?
Do they ever want to say no? Has Dexter ever considered meditation? Will Beth and Rip make it last on the new series Dutton Ranch? If not, Rip, call me.
Stream new series and returning favorites, plus huge events.
It's going to be the biggest year yet.
Welcome to the Running Man. The rules are simple. Survive 30 days. With the entire nation hunting you down.
The grand prize, $1 billion.
Win this game. Change your family's life forever.
Hunt him down!
People will sell you out in a heartbeat.
What is happening?
Welcome to the Running Man.
I'm back. I'm really back.
Why am I here? I'm not dead, right?
Disruption on this campus will not be tolerated.
If I look crazy, it's because that's how I feel. I don't know how to live in two worlds.
There are others. But they're not like us. We need to get out of here now. Open your eyes.
Paramount Plus has a mountain of movies. Wow. New movies. Timeless movies. Guys who are running out of time movies. So get in on the latest blockbusters.
Trust me.
And we live the moments that get you every time.
And that's all I have to say about that.
A mountain of movies, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars! What a difference she has made!
The question is, can you handle it? The crowd here feels electric. Stream every match of the UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount Plus.
I lost my dad in my aunt.
What aren't you telling me?
I'll never know what you've gone through, but I'm sure your dad will want you to be happy.
I will not lose the company that my husband started. I want success. Get it for me.
This business will bleed you dry.
Dad, I'm playing on the house's money now.
No, you're playing with the devil's money.
What's the plan here?
Gonna blow!
Yeah, well, I'm just getting started.
Landman. All episodes now streaming only on Paramount Plus.
This is Scoreline, 48 nations on the Golazo Network, getting ready for the World Cup semifinals. We are down to 4 teams left. France against Spain on Tuesday in Dallas, England against Argentina on Wednesday in Atlanta, with the final to be played at MetLife Stadium on Sunday afternoon. But right now, we're going to be focusing on France against Spain, beginning first with the Spanish. And with that, let's bring in our Spanish football expert, Phil Kitchen-Milides. And Phil, I guess so much of the conversation around this semifinal and around these two teams is how unstoppable France have been. Do you think that Spain have it in them to knock off this French side?
I do, and people in Spain do, and the Spanish players do as well. Certainly the noise coming out of the Spain camp is that the players are pretty relaxed, pretty confident, and definitely remembering what's happened the last 2 times that these sides have met, because France have been in scary attacking form in this World Cup, and I think that's why most people have them as probable favourites going into this game. Last time these two sides met, Spain absolutely battered France. Like, they completely took them apart. They were 5-1 up with 10 minutes to go, and then they scored a few late goals and put a bit more respectability into the scoreline. But people are remembering that. I think the players certainly, and people I've been speaking to close to the squad, the players certainly are pretty calm about this. They certainly believe, they trust the process. They think that they're getting better and improving as the tournament has progressed, that they're getting closer to their pinnacle of their performances, which they've not yet reached. They will have to get pretty close to beat France tomorrow. But I would say the overall feeling is that they're pretty calm and pretty confident, particularly having beaten France the last 2 times that they've played.
Phil, one of the things that's marked this World Cup pretty much unlike any other is this is a World Cup where the superstars have definitely delivered. You think of Lionel Messi delivering over and over again. Kylian Mbappe has had his time more than once in the sun. Harry Kane even, Jude Bellingham. You go through the list. Those stars have delivered. I want to talk about one player who is yet to really deliver on the big stage in the capacity that we think he can, Lamine Yamal. What have you made of his performances? And is this the time we're going to see the birthday boy deliver in the highest caliber?
Happy birthday to Lamine Yamal, turns 19 today, still a teenager. He should have been away with the Spain under-19 squad, who won the European Championships a couple of days ago, but no, he's at the World Cup playing a semi-final. Just to put things into context, almost everyone else who was born in 2007 and plays at a decent level in Spain is at the Euro under-19s. He's at the World Cup. He hasn't delivered, and I think everybody can see that, and his manager can see that as well. And it was really interesting listening to Luis de la Fuente speaking yesterday, and he said, we have to try and stop Lamine feeling overwhelmed. We have to try and stop those feeling of nervousness, nerves, ansiedad, like anxiety is the word that he used. It's not literally sort of anxiety as in sort of mental health issues. It's more like sort of nervousness and trying to do a little bit too much. And I think we can all see that. We can all see that Lamine has been trying to score the amazing goal, trying to take this tournament by storm, which hasn't happened yet. He says my big performance is still to come. The manager says his big performance is still to come. But everybody around Lamine seems to be telling him, just calm down. Like Rodri as well, the captain's come out and said something similar. You don't need to do the most incredible eye-catching play. We need you to just sort of stay focused on the game. And remember when he burst into the Barcelona first team a few years ago? Seems like a long time ago now. It wasn't. It was about 3 years ago. Xavi Hernandez, who gave him his debut, said, what Lamine Yamal does, he always seems to make the right decision. Wherever he is on the pitch, whatever he's doing, he makes the right decision. And I think at this World Cup, we haven't yet seen that. He's been playing the wrong sort of passes, or maybe taking an extra touch, or maybe dribbling when he should have passed. And I think that is a little bit of the desire to try and keep up with the other superstars who have been scoring and try and take this tournament by storm. There is still at least one game left for him to do so, and he will be pretty confident that he can do. But yeah, I think everybody's seen it, and it's been quite eye-catching to see senior members of the Spain camp, the manager and the captain, coming out and saying Lamine just needs to calm down a little bit, and then he'll be much better.
And Phil, I think as much as we talk about Lamine Yamal and Spain's ability in the attack, it's been their defense that's kind of taken the limelight a little bit in this World Cup. I'm really curious because they're going up against their stiffest test by far, right? It's a bunch of monsters up top: Mbappe, Dembele, Doué, Olise, Barcola. How can they manage those 4 or 5 guys from getting on the end of things? Because I don't think you're going to see another 5-4 game like you did last time. I think they're going to have to maintain that resiliency defensively. How do they maintain that against that kind of team?
So, I mean, Spain and the manager are very, very clear on how they defend. And we're not just talking about the back four. When it comes to defense, we're talking about the whole team. And the first line of defense is the pressing up the field. That said, they've also got quite a clear idea. And I was listening to Unai Simon, the goalkeeper, speaking yesterday. And he was saying, we want to have the ball a lot. We want to keep hold of the ball a lot, not just in order to create stuff by having possession. They want to try and make those front four chase the ball, chase shadows. He said, we need to try and tire out their attacking players, so when they do have the opportunity to try and attack us, they're not quite as fresh. And I thought that was an interesting concept and an interesting idea. So I think we can generally expect Spain to have possession and dominate the ball, but also it's not just in trying to create stuff. They want to do that. They want to try and make France chase shadows a little bit to try and tire them out, which I think is it's an interesting concept as well. And then obviously the back four has to be tremendously solid, because we've seen with France the geniuses they have up front. It just needs a millisecond for them to score a goal. It just needs the fraction of a second of loss of concentration from one of those defenders or the goalkeeper, and they punish you and they hurt you really, really badly. So yes, Spain have been extremely solid defensively. It starts, like we said, up the field, and it continues as well. Just keep an eye on Mikel Oyarzabal, by the way, the centre forward. The amount of tracking back he does, the amount of the pitch that he covers defensively as well. Everybody in this team has to defend. I include Lamine Yamal as well. In the previous game against Belgium, his defensive statistics were actually pretty impressive. He had 4 ball recoveries. He won a number of ground duels as well. So everybody has to defend. It's not just about the back four, and particularly when you're playing a team with the attacking ability of France.
Now, Phil, one of the other things that Spain have been able to do is change games from the bench. Mikel Merino, in particular, has done that in this tournament. From a depth standpoint, would you be tempted to start Merino to try and get that impact earlier in the game, or do you think he's better used as a sub? And in the overall, do you think that Spain have the depth in order to change games?
Absolutely do not start him. Bring him on in the 85th minute, 86th minute if you need to, and let him do what he does. I mean, it's remarkable what he's done, genuinely. I mean, not just in this, but also in the Euros as well. The quarterfinals against Germany, scored in the 119th minute as well. When a player does that once, twice, 3 times in massive games at major tournaments, it's not coincidence. So they choose players for specific games, for specific opponents. The manager, he was asked, why did you pick Mikel Merino to start the game against Uruguay? And he added, spoke about the physical nature of what he expected the game to be like, and Mikel Merino was more suited to it. I don't think he's going to change it. I think he's going to keep Mikel Merino as his exceptionally effective plan B. I think it's a bigger question in the midfield, Fabian Ruiz or Pedri. Of course, Pedri was on the bench in the last game. Fabian Ruiz started, scored against Belgium, and I thought had a really, really strong first half performance, particularly last year in the Nations League. Pedri started in midfield alongside Martin Zubimendi and Mikel Merino, while in the Euros it was Fabian Ruiz who started because Pedri was out injured. So they've got lots of options, and I think they do have players that can change the game. Mikel Merino can change the game by scoring those eye-catching goals, but you've got someone who can come off the bench like Pedri and control the game as well, which is another kind of game changer as well. So yeah, they're absolutely stacked, particularly in midfield, and they've definitely got game changers. These are the two best squads in the tournament. I don't think there's too many arguments about that. I don't think England and Argentina would necessarily have too many qualms about that. The starting 11s we can maybe argue about. In terms of strength in depth, I think these two squads are absolutely stacked.
And Spain will hope to be in the game in order to change it from the bench. Not to say they're going to get dominated, but France obviously have shown some incredible ability in this tournament. Phil, appreciate the time and enjoy the game.
Pleasure, guys. You too.
That was Phil Kitcher-Milides with his thoughts on Spain taking on France in the World Cup semifinal. We'll look on the other side at the French side of things. That's next on Scoreline 48 Nations.
At the start of every year, I find myself wondering again, constantly questioning life's mysteries. Could I make it in the UFC octagon?
When Jeff Probst asks survivors, ready?
Do they ever want to say no? Has Dexter ever considered meditation? Will Beth and Rip make it last on the new series Dutton Ranch? If not, Rip, call me.
Stream new series and returning favorites, plus huge events.
It's going to be the biggest year yet.
Welcome to the Running Man. The rules are simple. Survive 30 days, but the entire nation is hunting you down.
The grand prize, $1 billion.
Win this game. Change your family's life forever.
Hunt him down!
People will sell you out in a heartbeat.
What is happening?
Welcome to the Running Man.
I'm back. I'm really back.
Why am I here? I'm not dead, right?
Disruption on this campus will not be tolerated.
If I look crazy, it's because that's how I feel. I don't know how to live in two worlds.
There are others. But they're not like us. We need to get out of here now. Open your eyes.
Paramount Plus has a mountain of movies. Wow. New movies. Timeless movies. Guys who are running out of time movies. So get in on the latest blockbusters.
Trust me.
And relive the moments that get you every time.
And that's all I have to say about that.
A mountain of movies, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars! What a difference she has made!
The question is, can you handle it?
Can you handle it?
The crowd here feels electric. Stream every match of the UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount Plus.
I lost my dad in my hand.
What aren't you telling me?
I'll never know what you've gone through, but I'm sure your dad will want you to be happy.
I will not lose the company that my husband started. I want success. Get it for me.
This business will bleed you dry.
Dad, I'm playing on the house's money now.
No, you're playing with the devil's money.
What's the plan here?
Gotta blow!
Yeah, well, I'm just getting started.
Landman. All episodes now streaming only on Paramount Plus.
This is Scoreline 48 Nations breaking down the World Cup semifinal between Spain and France, which will take place on Tuesday from AT&T Stadium in North Texas. And guys, we talked a lot about Spain. Let's talk about this French team. And really the most staggering part of what they have done so far is over the course of multiple World Cups, they continue to demonstrate the level of talent that they have in their performances. We see big teams like Germany, let's say, not quite deliver on the field. The 3 straight World Cups now. Semifinal, final every single time. How do you admire the level of consistency that they've been able to show across multiple World Cups, Lahoud?
Well, you can only be as consistent as the manager or the head coach that you have at the helm. And when you look at the world's game, when you look at the international stage, probably Didier Deschamps is up there for the most consistent manager we have in recent memory. You could go through some of the Dutch managers of the 70s. I think of some of the German managers of the late 60s and 70s as well. But Didier Deschamps has really changed the culture of French football. You go back to 2010 when they were a disaster, a house on fire. He came in, Benny, and he changed everything. But it's the standard which he's kept this French national team at that's amazed me. This is now going to be 3 straight World Cups that he's made the semifinal. He's one of 2 managers to ever do that in the history of the damn game. So he's an elite company, and the last guy that did it, he was a German national team manager that had the likes of Franz Beckenbauer and company and the Bayern Munich contingent. So I just love everything that Deschamps is, but the big thing I take away from every single win that France have, his ability to keep the fire burning, his ability to keep the players' feet on the ground. I saw post-match after the recent performance against Morocco. There's a feel-good factor. Benny, you've been there as a player, where you win a game like that, there's a feel-good factor. You're thinking, okay, this is our World Cup to lose. And Deschamps comes in, he says, guys, we've done nothing yet. I love the accountability he has. I love the freedom he gives the players to be themselves, especially Kylian Mbappe. But he's a winner first and foremost, and that's what matters most.
I can't disagree with anything that you said. However, I think that there is a bigger factor than that man right there behind us, and that's the quality of this roster. The quality of this roster is the reason why this team has made it to 2 and almost 3 finals in 3 World Cups in a row. You have arguably the best player in the world right now in Mbappe, and he's not even the only guy doing it. There's the 4-headed monster now, right? Regardless if you have Elise, Mbappe, Dembele, and then one of Barcola or Doué. And then you have amazing defenders, right? You have Tchouaméni, you have
Kone.
You have Kone that's playing in there right now. You have N'Golo Kante that can't even get a second on the field, right? That was a pivotal part of the past 2 World Cups. And then you get to their back line as well with Upamecano. And so I think that this team, this roster, and this is not even talking about the bench players, but you talk about this roster, and I think as much as this guy behind us has done a fantastic job, man, he's picked the right moment to become the manager of the French national team, because
he might be giving it up at the wrong time too.
Well.
Yeah,
so
he might be giving it up at the wrong time.
It's been amazing to watch, but I think that this team is destined for great things in this World Cup.
Now, I guess sort of looking ahead to this matchup in the next game here against Spain, I guess one of the things that some people have been focusing on is how relatively easy France have made it look, just in terms of their path. Morocco was the last game. We thought Morocco could give them a game. They didn't. How much do you think, Benny, is they haven't been tested by an elite team yet versus they make good teams look average to bad because of how good they are?
I think it's a balance between those two. I think that they played Senegal in the first game. They didn't have a good first half, and then they turned it on in the second and won the game 3-1. They had a couple of little moments against Paraguay in terms of inefficiency in the attack, which we haven't really seen from them in almost any other game. But other than that, and the Norway game, I don't even count it because Norway played with their second team, but they really haven't been tested. I think it's because they're just head and shoulders above every other team. They're going to finally be tested, I think, by this Spanish team. This Spanish team is arguably the second best roster in terms of depth in this World Cup. So we will see, I think, a different game. But I still think that France are maybe not head and shoulders, just head above Spain in this game. So we'll see a little bit of testing in the semifinal.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see some of the recent memory of some of these French players, because it wasn't that long ago that the Nations League that they played against the Spain side, and a lot of the familiar faces that were on the Spanish side and the Spanish squad will be represented at this World Cup. You can't say the exact same for the 11 for the French team that played in that Nations League match, but I will say this about France. And they just have this ability. And Benny, you've been there. I remember watching when you were part of that U.S. team and you guys played against, you played against Spain at that time, but you played against Brazil. And there was just this gear that I think all great teams at the World Cup, Woody, have. Their ability to go from first to fifth, from second to sixth, from third to seventh. They have a gear that they can hit, and you saw the difference in the match against Morocco, Woody, and you see it in every single match that France plays. That around the 60th minute, whether it be subs that Deschamps makes, against Paraguay, it was bringing in Desiree Doué. Bradley Barcola, it wasn't the game for him. He brings in Desiree Doué. It works. The game changes. They just have this ability to go to another gear, to go to another stratosphere that teams at this World Cup so far have not been able to live with. You look at some of the teams that they played some good teams. At times you haven't played like great teams that they are. Senegal being a match where for 60 minutes, Senegal gave them a match. But yet again, France went to that other gear. Morocco, same thing, went to that 6th gear, and we see the quality of class of Kylian Mbappe. We see the quality of class of the reigning Ballon d'Or winner, and Ousmane Dembélé, really show, and they just have too many weapons to hurt you, but it's all about that change of gear to that next level that kills teams.
You mentioned 7th gear. I think only Formula One cars have at least 7 gears. So that might be an apt comparison. That might be an apt comparison for the French national team. But one of the things that will be fascinating about this game from a stylistic point of view is the ability to control the game. We probably think Spain are the only team in the world that can reasonably expect to control the game against France with their ability to maintain possession. How do you think France could potentially play against the ball, asking all these brilliant attackers to at times sit in a shape and defend?
Yeah, Benny, you've been there as a midfielder, so I want to get your insight into this playing at the World Cup and playing for the United States men's national team when you're playing against a team that you played against in the Confederations Cup with a Spanish national team that had your Xavis, that had your Iniestas, that had the biggest names of that golden generation. Because for me, it comes down to how do you manage the moments of control versus transition. This French team, we saw Morocco try to control the match by flooding and overloading the midfield, but we really saw in the transition moments, the Kylian Mbappe penalty comes from France being patient and then using their pace, their physicality, and athleticism to their benefit. But you've actually lived it, so I'm interested on your perspective.
There's no way I'm going to ever try and compare my 2009 Confederations Cup team to this French team.
Well, you beat Spain, so
we did beat Spain, but I think France has a pretty good chance to do that themselves. So, but what you pointed out is exactly right. I see this game as a game where Spain will have the lion's share of possession. And the question for any fan watching this game is, what do they do with the possession? How do the possessions end? Do they end in a shot? Do they get a corner kick? Let it even be a goal kick at times. But if there's transitional moments, and I think France will understand that Spain is very good at this, and they're not going to start running around like crazy and letting them play through them. They're going to stay compact at times, right? They might high press sometimes, but they're going to stay compact at times. And my biggest question is when they win the ball, what do Spain look like on defense? Because they have not been tested in any way defensively in this entire World Cup. They've had the ball 24/7, 365, and I think for maybe 10, 15 minutes in the second half against Belgium, we saw a little bit of some cracks after it was 1-1, where Belgium maybe had a chance to take it 2-1. I think that's where the game is won or lost. If Spain is able to manage those moments of loss of possession and transition, like you stated, versus can France turn those transitional moments into goal-scoring moments?
Yeah, I really think that personnel is going to be a big thing that Didier Deschamps has to really manage. You know, Manu Kone has been excellent. And if you're a Premier League club, I'm going to say it until it happens, Woody. Premier League clubs need to go and buy Manu Kone. I can think of two. I can think of the likes of Manchester United, who you're going to have big news about them. Personally, I would love that. But a club like Liverpool needs to go after him. But Aurelien Tchouameni, he's been out the last 2 matches. He is supposed to be fit and available for this match. So you think of Aurelien Tchouameni and Michael Olise and Rabiot going against that Spanish midfield with Rodri at the helm, it's going to be a monumental affair, Woody.
Why does it have to be the Premier League? Why can't he stay in Serie A? He's having
I forgot.
a great time.
I forgot.
Roma are in the Champions League.
Stay with Roma, man. Forget everything I said.
No, but it's an understandable point, especially when we consider what players like Elliot Anderson are going for from just a money standpoint. It's such a valuable position, and Kone is a very good player. So we've talked about both teams in the game. Let's get our gambling point of view through our guy, John Buckets Eimer. Buckets, what are you looking for as it relates to this semifinal between France and Spain?
Guys, I am so freaking excited for this matchup, not just from the betting perspective, but from watching as a fan. We are truly getting what I believe are the 2 best teams on the pitch here, but we got to look at the betting side. So 3 bets for everyone, and I'm going to start with the first one, which is me backing France here. I got France over 1.5 team total, so I need France to score twice at plus 120. I know that Spain have only conceded a single goal in this competition, but as Benny mentioned, they have not been tested, and to go from not being tested to all of a sudden you're playing the best attack on the planet it's going to be a rude awakening. And I think that France break them down early, forcing this to become an open game and forcing Spain to do something. Bet number 2, this is the easy one. Kylian Mbappe, anytime goal scorer. I do not care who you are playing. It could be Spain, it could be Argentina, it could be anyone. If I'm ever getting Mbappe at plus money to score, I'm going to blindly take that, because not only is he a different animal when he puts on that French kit, but look at the assist. I mean, the people he has around him to feed him the ball. Michael Olise, go watch some assist compilations of Olise in the Bundesliga. The way he passes the ball is just not of this world, and I love him to get a goal. And then the third and final bet, a little love for Spain here. Lamine Yamal to score or assist. Now, I know he only has 1 goal contribution in this World Cup so far, but we're finally seeing him play for that full 90 minutes, and he's got a history of scoring against France. He has scored 3 times in their last 2 competitive matches against France, and if Spain want any shot of winning this fixture, they have to have Yamal step up in a very big way. So I'm expecting goals here, but I love the Stars to show up once again.
To bolster your Olise point, he does lead the tournament in assists, but looking for Lamine Yamal to break out a little bit. Spain will certainly be hoping for that. Buckets, appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
That is your preview on the France against Spain match. Coming up next, we're looking ahead to Wednesday's semifinal between the English and the Argentines. That's next on Scoreline.
At the start of every year, I find myself wondering again, constantly questioning life's mysteries. Could I make it in the UFC octagon?
When Jeff Probst asks survivors, ready?
Do they ever want to say no? Has Dexter ever considered meditation? Will Beth and Rip make it last on the new series Dutton Run? If not, Rip, call me.
Stream new series and returning favorites, plus huge events.
It's going to be the biggest year yet.
Welcome to the Running Man. The rules are simple. Survive 30 days, with the entire nation hunting you down.
The grand prize, $1 billion.
Win this game. Change your family's life forever.
Hunt him down!
People will sell you out in a heartbeat.
What is happening?
Welcome to the Running Man.
I'm back. I'm really back.
Why am I here? I'm not dead, right?
Disruption on this campus will not be tolerated.
If I look crazy, it's because that's how I feel. I don't know how to live in 2 worlds.
There are others. But they're not like us. We need to get out of here now. Open your eyes.
Paramount Plus has a mountain of movies. Wow. New movies. Timeless movies. Guys who are running out of time movies. So get in on the latest blockbusters.
Trust me.
And relive the moments that get you every time.
And that's all I have to say about that.
A mountain of movies, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars! What a difference she has made!
The question is, can you handle it?
Tell me, can you handle it?
The crowd here feels electric. Stream every match of the UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount Plus.
I lost my dad and my aunt.
What aren't you telling me?
I'll never know what you've gone through, but I'm sure your dad would want you to be happy.
Not lose the company that my husband started. I want success. Get it for me.
This business will bleed you dry.
Dad, I'm playing on the house's money now.
No, you're playing with the devil's money.
What's the plan here?
Gotta blow!
Yeah, well, I'm just getting started.
Landman. All episodes now streaming only on Paramount Plus.
This is Scoreline of 48 nations talking about the World Cup. And a reminder, Argentina have gotten to this point of the semifinal despite not facing a tremendously difficult run of fixtures. Algeria, Austria, Jordan was the group. Those are 3 wins from 3. Then we get into the knockouts. Had to sweat it out against Cabo Verde in Miami. Had to come back from 2-0 down against Egypt and then beat Switzerland in extra time after Bril and Bolo was sent off. in the second half of the game, and it's not been massively convincing in the knockout rounds, nor really has it been for England, who got through the group with Croatia, Ghana, and Panama before coming back from a goal behind to beat DR Congo by 2-1, and of course sustaining that red card against Mexico before beating the Norwegians in extra time. And guys, I think this will be a game decided between two teams that have not been flawless at this World Cup, but have incredible star talent in the forward areas. Let's start first with what England can do against Lionel Messi, probably the greatest of all time. When we talk about their defensive game plan coming into a game, how do you see the English approaching trying to stop Messi? By the way, this is the first time that Messi will be playing against England. This is the 63rd different country he has played an international game against. So for England, their first time doing it, how are they going to try and stop him, Benny?
To prove. Messi's got something to prove.
Yes, he does.
Point, right?
Does he really at this?
I mean, I think he always does, right? I mean, you have the shadow of Maradona with all the Argentinian people, and I think, and you said so yourself, where he's never played in the Prem, and maybe there's some outside noise that he's heard before. I mean, Woody, you said that he knows that. He's thinking about that in the back of his head. So if he is, this is a good opportunity, maybe not to play in the Prem, but play against a bunch of players that play in the Prem.
Yeah, Lionel Messi has made a career and made mincemeat out of Premier League clubs when it comes to the Champions League. 35 appearances, 27 goals. So he's pretty much scoring every time he plays against a Premier League side. Maybe my math's a bit off, but
close
you
enough.
pretty much get the point. But I really love the point that you bring up with Diego Maradona, because you have to go back to the last two times at a World Cup Argentina played. 1998, you remember what happened with Cholo Simeone and David Beckham, but 1986 is something that every football fan remembers. And everyone remembers who got the last laugh off the day.
You weren't even alive, though.
I was just born, baby.
I
was just maybe a month delayed from that World Cup.
Then.
Yeah, but still.
we all know the story.
You think of what that match meant. It was Maradona's performance, the hand of God, but it was his performance against the English, given the backdrop of the Falklands War. One thing I know about Argentinians, they have very, very good memories. They keep receipts, and we have an Argentine that works at this network who keeps receipts.
We'll hear from him later.
Yeah, we'll be hearing from him in a bit. But if you're Lionel Messi, I think there's a very good chance that this is where you've already written your name and your legacy into the annals of history, but now you get to put your name into that deified context right next to Diego Armando Maradona because of what he did for the Argentine people. It was bigger than the result, Woody. It was more than football itself. He became a national icon because he got one over the English at a time when Argentina were desperate for a hero. They were desperate for a savior. And now Lionel Messi has a chance to do the same against an English side that have been stubborn, but have shown their frailties.
Yeah, and Messi, 40 years on, can add to that legacy of Argentina against England, but he has been absolutely stunning at this World Cup with the 8 goals and the 2 assists, assisted that opener with that corner delivered into the penalty area against Switzerland in the quarterfinal, but he'll have to do it in this one. I guess when we talk about Argentina, though, in the overall, we showed their path and how much they've struggled in these knockouts, Lahoud. What do you feel like has gone wrong for them? And I guess could you say that they are lucky to be here, just purely on the basis of the refereeing decisions that went their way against Egypt, and even with the red card that happened against Algeria, with the refereeing decision that happened in the Switzerland match as well, and just in general, these fine margins games that they've been able to escape. Are they lucky to be here, would you say?
Yeah, you could definitely say there's an element of luck, but I could also say you create your own luck because you can only take advantage of the opportunities that present yourself on the field. Now, there's nothing lucky about the Julian Alvarez shot or the goal, the banger. That's pure talent, that's pure class, and they need more opportunities from Alvarez, who came into this World Cup with an ankle injury. I think a lot of people forget that that happened, and I remember we covered it on Scoreline when he picked up the injury heading to this summer's contest. Now, there is an elephant in the room that we just have to talk about, is that Argentina, in my opinion, have gotten quite a few favorable decisions. I saw a segment that you did on Morning Footy where you said the amount of penalty kicks that they've had between the last World Cup and this World Cup, there's definitely some favorable decisions. There's some favoritism there. And you get to have some of that aura. We see it across sports. In basketball, the Chicago Bulls got a ton of calls.
The Jordan rules.
That other teams didn't. The Michael Jordan rule, right? And you have the Lionel Messi rule at this World Cup. It doesn't mean that people have to abide by it or like it, but they have shown at this World Cup, Benny, that you can get after Argentina. This is an aging side. The last World Cup, I think, what they had was they had an Alexis McAllister, who was a younger player, who was coming into his own with the national team and in the Premier League. Not many people knew who Enzo Fernandez was up until that match. I think it was against Mexico where he had the banger, the game where he came in and wrote his name into Argentine folklore and history. So this is where Lionel Scaloni really has to get clever, because there's some talent on this roster, Benny. I know that you have some players that you've been looking at thinking, why aren't they getting more minutes and opportunities?
Yeah, I think Argentina needs to make a change. I don't know if Scaloni's going to have the cojones to do it in the semifinals of the World Cup, because he's run with these guys. He's won a World Cup with these guys, the Alexis McAllisters, the Enzo Fernandez, the Inter Miami,
Messi, DePaul.
Yeah. So I think he's stuck with these guys, but there are guys on the bench, younger guys. You know, the Thiago Almadas, who's got a few looks here and there. Simeone, he hasn't gotten any looks hardly from, Atletico Madrid, what he does in a week-in, week-out basis there. Nico Pasas, Como. So I would love to see some of these younger guys. But, Whitty, to your original question when we first started talking about Messi was, how does England win this game? How do they stop Messi, and how do they slow down Argentina? And I think it obviously starts with Messi. But for me, it's what we talked about with Argentina, conversely, is they're old. And if Scaloni plays with that roster, England needs to athletically dominate the game. They need to be up and down. They need to be able to get into the attack. I mean, we saw the Swiss team down a man into the late stages of the game, second half and into extra time, have possession of the ball and create certain things. And so I would expect this English national team not to come in here and be like awed and thinking, man, can we deal with Messi and co? It's, we're the better team. Can we be the guys with the ball and kind of controlling the tempo of the game? Because if that's the case, if they come in with that mentality, I think they are the better team. But if they don't, and they allow Argentina to be the team that, hey, that's Messi and co over there, and let's see what they do before we try and react to it, I think that doesn't bode well for them.
And England have done so well to survive these conditions. They played at the Azteca in altitude at night. They played a Miami game at 5 p.m. I was at the game. The heat and humidity was absolutely extraordinary, and they managed to get through the game. But I guess looking forward now, guys, from a managerial standpoint, you sort of mentioned this idea of how a manager will approach it. Thomas Tuchel's done a very good job of approaching games, particularly in second halves, figuring out the way to change games from the bench. What kind of job do you think the England manager can do? And you mentioned sort of the idea of maybe Argentina making changes, but he probably won't. What can the two managers tweak about their approaches in order to win the game, Benny?
Well, with Argentina, again, we talk about some personnel changes. They have played over 300 minutes in the last 3 games, right? 2 went to extra time and a lengthy 90-minute crazy game against Egypt. And so they have exerted everything they have to exert. I think there needs to be some personnel changes, not so much, tactical or anything. And I don't think you need to start thinking too much about what England possesses. Yes, you want to try and slow down Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham, but that's not at the forefront. I think it's personnel. Give some new faces, some new bodies opportunities to start opening up the game so that a Messi doesn't have to do everything, right? And I think we've seen it a little bit, right, with Enzo scoring the goal against Egypt and Julian Alvarez scoring the goal in this last game against Switzerland. But, man, I would love to see a few changes there from Scaloni, personnel-wise.
Yeah, I think this game is really going to be decided from an England standpoint on this depth that this England squad has. And I know that these aren't the household names of your Cole Palmers or your Phil Fodens. There's a reason why England are having success. There's this collective buy-in in the Thomas Tuchel way. And no, it's not the Gareth Southgate way. I think it's better than what Gareth Southgate's done with the Three Lions, because you think of the matches that they've won so far and how they've won it. 2 out of the 3 knockout round matches, they've gone behind. An England side under Southgate, in my opinion, and just my opinion, would not survive that. An England side under Southgate does not go to the Azteca and survive that marathon of a match that it is. You've been there, you've played there. It's a difficult place to play. For me personally, it is the most difficult place to play
internationally
at the World Cup level and international level. So there is this resilience about the Three Lions in England. But when you look at the subs have changed just about every single match. Started with the opener, Croatia. Marcus Rashford comes in, changes the match completely. You go to the Mexico match. Rashford starts, Anthony Gordon comes in, changes that match. The very last match, and the recent match we saw, I thought the likes of Jed Spence, has been just a revelation for England in ways that Tottenham Hotspur fans, they definitely didn't see this version of Jed Spence coming. So there's this collective buy-in, Woody, that for England, it's going to be a battle of the wits. It's going to be a battle of who wants this more, desire, passion, but also this sense of streetwiseness. It's going to be a dogfight to the end.
And England and Argentina will face each other for the first time since 2005. You mentioned the Argentines that work here. Let's hear from Nico Cantor in the build-up to this big England-Argentina match.
Hey guys, we're on our way to Atlanta from Miami for this epic semifinal between England and Argentina. At least we hope, because we understand the emotional side of things, the history between these two nations. It's volume 6 at the FIFA World Cup between England and Argentina, but for Lionel Andres Messi, it is volume 1, the first time he ever faces England. And he will face England in a very different capacity because he's 39 years old. He's not the Messi that shocked the world when he came onto the stage with his incredible football. And this Argentina is different as well because they're far from their football ceiling. Their capacity to find solutions within games either come in an epic fashion, and epic football can only get you so far like it did against Cape Verde and Egypt, but also with a little bit of luck along the way, because if it wasn't for Breel Mbolo's stupid second yellow card that kind of helped Argentina regain control of this game, I don't know if we would be talking about Argentina in a semifinal. They need to start showing stronger collective football with more ideas. Meanwhile, England, on the other side, they also haven't been playing convincing football. They need to show that they can be a team that can dictate football through longer bouts, that they can be convincing on the ball, that perhaps they have a little bit more of an identity when Tuchel doesn't change the team, because he's been swapping players. Being at their best, they're still having to go into a matchup against Argentina that is very emotionally charged, and we'll see how both of these teams manage with that. They are just 90 minutes away from a World Cup final, both of these teams.
Great perspective there from Nico, and a reminder that he is going coast to coast all over the country. He will be at that England-Argentina game on Wednesday in Atlanta, and will head back up the East Coast to New Jersey for the final on Sunday. Nico is going coast to coast. You can follow it on all of our Golazo platforms. We'll have much more on the World Cup and the entire football world next on Scoreline.
At the start of every year, I find myself wondering again, constantly questioning life's mysteries. Could I make it in the UFC octagon?
When Jeff Probst asks survivors, ready?
Do they ever want to say no? Has Dexter ever considered meditation? Will Beth and Rip make it last on the new series Dutton Ranch? If not, Rip, call me.
Stream new series and returning favorites, plus huge events.
It's going to be the biggest year yet.
Welcome to the Running Man. The rules are simple. Survive 30 days, with the entire nation hunting you down.
The grand prize, $1 billion.
Win this game. Change your family's life forever.
Hunt him down!
People will sell you out in a heartbeat.
What is happening?
Welcome to the Running Man.
I'm back. I'm really back.
Why am I here? I'm not dead, right?
Disruption on this campus will not be tolerated.
I look crazy. It's because that's how I feel. I don't know how to live in two worlds.
There are others. But they're not like us. We need to get out of here now. Open your eyes.
Paramount Plus has a mountain of movies. Wow. New movies. Timeless movies. Guys who are running out of time movies. So get in on the latest blockbusters.
Trust me.
And relive the moments that get you every time.
And that's all I have to say about that.
A mountain of movies, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars! What a difference she has made!
The question is, can you handle it?
Tell me, can you handle it?
The crowd here feels electric. Stream every match of the UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount Plus.
I
I lost my dad and my aunt.
What aren't you telling me?
I'll never know what you've gone through, but I'm sure your dad would want you to be happy.
Will not lose the company that my husband started. I want success. Get it for me.
This business will bleed you dry.
Dad, I'm playing on the house's money now.
No, you're playing with the devil's money.
What's the plan here?
Gonna blow!
Yeah, well, I'm just getting started.
Landman. All episodes now streaming only on Paramount Plus.
This is Scoreline at 48 nations, and with only 4 games left to play at the FIFA World Cup. My God, there's only 4 games left to play at the FIFA World Cup. Can you believe it? The depression is starting to sink in. It's like on these days off, like, oh man, this is about to end. This is terrible. Yeah. But we kind of wanted to talk about the Golden Ball Award through the prism of who we think so far has been the best player at this tournament. We're going to focus on 3 guys from the 4 remaining finalists, the obvious: Kylian Mbappe, Lionel Messi, and Jude Bellingham for England. So I guess I'll just start by asking you the very basic question, guys. Who do you think of these 3 has been the best player at this World Cup so far? Benny, I'll start with you.
I'm not going to think too much. He's the best player in the world. He's been the best player in the world for the last 15 years and probably, in my opinion, historically ever. Lionel Messi is single-handedly carrying this aging Argentina team into the semifinals and for me, hopefully beyond. But he's been amazing. The things that he does with how little he moves, and he still impacts the game in some unbelievable ways that, frankly, no other person in this world can do. So for me, he's been the best player in the World Cup thus far.
Yeah, I definitely was on the Messi train in the group stages and definitely in, some of the earlier knockout rounds. But that Switzerland match showed me that there's cracks in the pavement. Not the Messi pavement, but this Argentine pavement. It's so hard to just encompass what Lionel Messi has meant to world football, not just the Argentina national team.
What is it? What do we want?
This was a figure.
This is an alien's stat line.
This was a figure that you remember when Miroslav Klose broke the record, Ronaldo's record of 15. Klose broke it, I think, at the 2014 World Cup. We were all sitting here thinking, oh my gosh.
This record's going to stand forever.
21 goals?
We didn't know Lionel back then, though.
Nor did we know Kylian, who we'll get to in a second.
At 39 years of age, 21 goals, and just the way he's just added to it. Just to give some context, 8 goals this World Cup at 39, which is unbelievable. The last player that scored 8 goals at a World Cup was Kylian Mbappe, right? The last World Cup in 2022. What we've seen before that, Ronaldo in 2002 scored 8 goals in the World Cup, and everyone was just, their jaw dropped. So whether it's Lionel Messi or my guy Kylian Mbappe, they're just making it look like it is a training session on the pitch, Woody.
Yeah, and Benny, to your point about sort of the movement, he spent 63% of this World Cup walking. 63% of the games he's walking Messi. And yet in the 37%, it's nothing but impact. But, Lahud, you want to talk about your guy Mbappe?
Yeah, Kylian Mbappe, just forget the chances created because it's absurd given the quality that's around him, the fact that the percentage of shots, the volumes of shots, the different ways he's scoring goals. I love that Kylian Mbappe is a man of the moment. He's seizing the moment just about every time he steps on the field in ways that we didn't really see him do at the end of the season for Real Madrid. I'm going to bring that back up because Kylian Mbappe in a French shirt is like Clark Kent playing for Real Madrid, and he becomes Superman when he plays for Le Bleu. He really was made to wear the armband. This is his team. He leads from the front. He really has this aura about him. This is insane to me that he's already at 20 goals.
This is insane.
And he's not even 30 years old yet.
Literally a goal per game,
It's ridiculous. But for me, the reason why I pick Mbappe over even Messi, 8 goals at this World Cup. 5 of them have come in the knockout round. That's the most of any player so far at this World Cup. And so he's a man made for the big moment. I think he revels. The bigger the game, the bigger the pressure. I think he stands 10 toes deep and 10 times taller. And he's going to have to stand tallest against a Spain side that, as of late, in major tournaments, he hasn't had the last laugh. It's been a teenager that's had a bigger laugh than him.
And just to talk a little bit about our third guy here, Jude Bellingham, I'm not certain I would say he's been the best player of this tournament, but I think we would combine everything. I guess you could say maybe the clutchest player of this tournament so far, because he has come into these games. And I was at the England-Norway quarterfinal in Miami, and there was one of these things, you're just sort of watching it going, of course it's Jude. And you watch him take that first touch around the defender to get into that position, like, oh, he's going to score. And like when you get to that point where you're sort of someone, I may or may not have been rooting for Norway in the game, but when I was watching Jude take that first touch, you're like, oh, this is going in. And you create that feeling among your opposition. And you talked about it during the break, Benny. This idea for England, they have not won the World Cup in 60 years. They invented the game. They fashioned themselves the #1 country in the game. They have the #1 domestic league in the game. We should have a national team that befits that. And yet pressure has always been one of these things that has befallen England national teams of the past. And they've been able to shed it bit by bit. But Bellingham is the player who most rises above it, literally throws his arms wide open and says, I will take whatever you can give me. I will take the pressure. I will take that next step, and again delivers in big moments. And so when you talk about having that in your team, it's such an emotional and mental boost that England have as part of their team, because they know even if they go behind, even if they need a goal late, that he can be someone who can step up for them. I think he has really jumped up another level, especially in comparison to in the Mbappe era at Real Madrid. He has not been able to shine. But for England, he absolutely has.
He's been phenomenal, and like we talked about, there's a lot of things that remind me for this English national team. That was what Messi was going through trying to bring a World Cup back to Argentina in 2022. So he's been the guy rising above. He's even disagreeing with his coach after the games, after they win and get to the semifinals.
I love it.
He's not scared of anything, and I think a lot of these players are kind of following his lead right now.
Yeah, I just saw this. I think both of you said enough. The celebration says everything, Woody.
Yeah.
When you do this in your first World Cup, you're a star in the making. When you do what he's doing at this World Cup, you're a star that's already been born. I love everything about Jude, and it's going to be a hell of a game when we see him play in the semifinal next to Lionel Messi.
So in terms of the actual award, the Golden Ball Award, which is awarded to the MVP of the tournament, let's show you the odds for who is going to win them. Well, I guess we can just talk about it. Mbappe is the favorite. And then
there's a reason for that, though, Woody, right?
Right, because we think that they're going to win. In all likelihood, the team that wins the award will have the golden ball.
There you go.
I'd say maybe unless Spain go on to win it. Because Spain don't really have that standout individual to give that award to. So I guess who would you guys predict right now would win this award based off what we think is going to happen this World Cup?
I'll take your buddy there. Your buddy, Mr. Mbappe, I think is the likeliest to win the trophy and to win the golden ball because of it.
Yeah, I think golden ball, there's a strong chance golden boot. It's going to be him and Messi going the distance. Don't count out Jude, though. If England do win this World Cup, which they should feel confident. The English media seems more confident than ever. I've heard more receipts, more trash talk.
I've never seen the English media confident.
Oh, man.
They've never gotten out of themselves before.
They live there.
Yeah, they are loving
Until
life
they
right
lose,
now.
they live there.
But this golden ball is killing Mbappe's to lose. I personally think that.
I agree. I think the betting markets would agree with you as well. But this will be an absolutely fantastic race to the end. It'll largely depend on the results left in the final 4 games of this World Cup. Of course, the 2 semifinals, the 3rd place match, and the final. Stay with us here. Much more on the Golazo Network is on the way.
At the start of every year, I find myself wondering again, constantly questioning life's mysteries. Could I make it